Welcome, everybody. We got a good gallery today, don't we? Good, welcome. Okay, honorable members of City Council, in accordance with the Virginia Beach City Code 2-21, and by authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Virginia Beach, I hereby call for a special formal session of the Virginia Beach Council on Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, 1:30, City Council Conference Room, 2024, Building 1, 2401 Courthouse Drive. The purpose of the special session is to conduct public briefings and city council comments discussions as listed with the attached public agenda. At the conclusion of public briefings, the city council comments discussion, city council will convene into a closed session where the following matters will be considered: publicly held properties in District 2, 5, and 6, legal advice on Atlantic Park and personnel matters, council appointments, boards, commissions, committees, authorities, agencies, task force, and appointees. At the conclusion of the closed session, the city council will reconvene into the open session for the purpose of certifying the closed session. Okay, folks, we're ready to move forward.
All right, so Mr. Mayor, members of council, at this time, we are your request to council machines request to run acknowledge our students on our boards and commissions. We'll be joined by student member Sadie Mixer. She'll come and give city council a presentation. Sadie serves on the transition area ITA advisory committee. So Sadie, come on up.
Welcome, Sadie. Nice to see you again.
Hi. All right. Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of City Council. My name is Sadie Mixer, and I'm honored to be here today, along with many other student members who serve on boards and commissions. I just graduated from the Environmental Studies program last week, and I graduate from Kellam High School tomorrow. Over the course of my senior year, I had the pleasure of serving on a City Council appointed committee. I was the first student member to ever be appointed to the Interfacility Traffic Area Transition Area Citizens Advisory Committee. I have lived in the transition area for over half of my life, and I did not know the terms green and blue line until my junior year of high school. My experience on this committee has taught me so much about our city and the area that I live in. It gave me the ability to contribute directly to our city's discussions and decisions, further empowering not just my voice, but student voices within our city. It has helped me foster connections with people involved in city work, and it has inspired me to create the video that I am presenting you today. After meetings, my fellow student member Lulu Kukarev and I would share a brief summary of what we learned to students in the Environmental Studies program. These debriefs inspired me to create a video on student members that serve on City Council appointed committees as one of my senior projects. I wanted to highlight how students are out in the community creating the change that they want to see because we care deeply about our city and its future, as well as how these student member positions came to be. The result was a 12-minute video featuring 4 student members and 3 community leaders. I created a condensed 5-minute version to present to you today, and I hope you guys enjoy.
We should get some directors that would take it from 12 to 5. That's a good idea.
That would be a new.
As of being one of the directors. As of one of the directors. Yeah, as well as us.
And let me say, I was at Sadie's presentation at the Brock Center. It was outstanding.
Thank you.
Very well done.
My generation often suffers from a lack of community engagement, resulting in a disconnect between our voices and our communities. As students, it's easy to feel that our voices don't hold as much weight as other voices do, but today I want to show you how Virginia Beach is working to change that. Hi, my name is Sadie Mixer, and I'm a senior at Kellam High School in the Environmental Studies program. Throughout my entire school career, I have always prioritized extracurricular activities. Many of them were connected to my school, such as honor societies, clubs, or sports. But my junior year, I was given the opportunity to apply for a student member position on a city council appointed committee. Through my work on this committee, I met some other incredible student leaders who all had the same passion for making our city a better place. I wanted to join the Flood Board because I really hadn't had any experience or knowledge of how city government functioned like on the day-to-day. And so I really wanted to gain experience and firsthand knowledge of how an average citizen like me could go and have an impact on something at the citywide scale.
And so on our first project on the student subcommittee is actually to create a love sign that's going to go on right off of Shore Drive. And so our design was incredibly student designed, and it's going to be able to kind of reflect a lot of different aspects of the Shore Drive community and kind of create one culminating piece that will be a great thing for tourism, also highlight local businesses, and ultimately just kind of showcase what we love about the area.
And additionally, right now I'm working on making an interactive ArcGIS map for City Council and for the committee to use regarding different trails and the existing and proposed trails within the city, so we can see the best ways to connect our city through trails and active transportation.
There are over 30 student member positions on these advisory committees, but this has not always been the case. To get to where we are today, it took careful planning and consideration.
Our first student was placed on the Public Library Board back in 1992, and in a couple years after that, there were a total of 4 such positions. In 2020, City Council adopted a resolution that encouraged all boards and commissions to look for youth opportunities.
As a student, I'd say I really understand the importance of reliance on these trail networks. While I do have a driver's license, I'm still very much reliant on using my parents' vehicles. And unlike a lot of other, more independent adults on the city commissions and advisory boards, I understand the need and the necessity, really, for people my age of local trails and having access to safe, reliable, active transportation to get where they need to go.
More than 20% of Virginia Beach's population is under the age of 18, and otherwise they really don't have a direct voice into local governance. Yes, they can speak at public hearings, but that's occasional and issue-driven. In terms of ongoing decision-making, these positions afford them a voice. And honestly, it's great for our city because the advice given to City Council is far more diverse, far more informed, and gives City Council much more to work with as they weigh difficult decisions.
Serving on the ITATA Citizens Advisory Committee gives me the opportunity to have an equal voice to those of working professionals. It gives me the opportunity to learn more about our city and to make an impact in my community.
If you think about the 65,000 students across the school division, it's almost like a little city within a city, and having student voice that they can take back to their home schools and help make a difference elevates the work of our commission beyond helping to inform City Council.
I think the best part of all this is that historic notion of classroom is being busted up a little bit, and that we're actually having this flexible seating where students are spending time in this real world space that is serving as their classroom.
It isn't just another extracurricular activity on my resume. It's an experience that has taught me skills that I will use for the next 4 years in college and throughout my entire life.
It's given me the confidence to continue having my voice heard in the future and to continue speaking up about things even in rooms where I know nobody, and really making sure that if I have a question or if I have an idea, making sure that I'm comfortable and confident enough to bring it up in that scenario.
On behalf of all students who serve on these committees, thank you, Virginia Beach, for allowing student voices to be heard in local government, and thank you to all the incredible community leaders who helped make this happen. I sincerely hope that the rest of the world will see these examples of student empowerment in Virginia Beach and be inspired to invoke change in their communities. And to those who are watching, how will you challenge yourself to change your community for the better?
Okay, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council, and thank you, Sadie. And we are so very proud of you. Just wanted to let you know that, and thank you for coming.
How about you stand up? Come on.
Congratulations to those of you who are graduating. I know when I was in college or high school, we all tried to envision, yeah, y'all can sit, please. When I was in college and high school, we all, tried to envision what it would be like, in a day's work and like what a career would look like. And then you get there and then you realize it's, answering emails and phone calls and doing all the ordinary things that we do on a daily basis. But then you wonder about like how you serve community, how do you give back? And that's like, you all have taken that next step of like awareness of the things that are important that are going around you. And y'all know that we live in, we might live in the biggest city in the Commonwealth, but we live in a very small community. And all it takes is a little bit of time, effort, and energy. And you just keep coming back and you can make an impact. And me moving in here 20 years ago, I found out the same thing. And wherever you all go for your college experience, I hope you come back to Virginia Beach and you come and contribute to this community and bring all of the wonderful things that you've learned back to us. So besides thanking the council, we all share in this pride today for sure. And the Walter Camp and the work that was done with the Committee on Boards and Commissions to encourage high school involvement in our boards and commissions and appointed agencies. Special shout out to all the faculty, from around the entire city who help make students aware of these opportunities. And a special shout out to Diana McDowell, and Chris Freeman from the Environmental Studies program. They host students, although it's housed in District 9, from all over the city, and they do wonderful, wonderful work. To our city clerk, for accommodating and trying to coordinate all of that stuff, because it is, I think we had like 70 or 90 or something like that applications that come in recently. And to all the chairs of the boards and commissions and the members who have been welcoming to the students as they've come on and given them assignments and projects. I look in the audience here and I've worked with many of you, and I'm sure all of you share that experience. And then finally to you, Sadie, personally, I saw your video, the long version, the 12-minute version, and I was astounded that it wasn't professionally produced. So you've done a great job, and I know you've done a great service for the ITA TA committee. So congratulations to you, and thank you for presenting to us today.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Cash.
Listen, we are so excited that you would have the courage to do public speaking, right? So we want to encourage you. You are true leaders. When I was in high school, that's when it was formed for me, my love to be a leader. And so like Councilman Ja said, we definitely want you to come back to Virginia Beach because we have positions for you here. With that being said, okay, maybe I can't say that, but I'm gonna speak that, public speaking. It takes courage, it takes tenacity, it takes determination. And I wanna let you know that Virginia Beach is proud of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Barbara.
Well, I have the opportunity to serve on the committees that some of these students are I'm liaison with, particularly the Transition Area ITA Committee. I know that's had some pretty interesting discussions, and you've heard a lot from that committee, and of course the Open Space Committee and the Green Ribbon Committee and the others as well. And I hope you haven't been discouraged by some of the things that maybe you have heard too, but I think giving our young people the opportunity to take part is so important. And our advisory committees for everybody, adults as well as students, are such an important part of what we have. And we really appreciate the fact that all of you are willing to serve. And for the teachers who are working with the environmental studies program with And Chris Freeman is shaking his head like, what have I gotten myself into? The first time I called him and said, I need you to do such and such. And he's just taken and gone with it all these years. And it's adds so much to the city and to our input to have it from our people, particularly our students. So thank you. And Sadie, I know you're going to do very well in the future and come back and visit.
I definitely will. Thank you.
Hayworth?
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll be quick and pile on with everyone else. Sadie, thank you for the presentation. Last week, the Resort Investment Committee heard from 7 students interviewing to be on the Resort Advisory Commission, and I will tell you that every member of the Resort Investment Committee was amazed at how articulate and smart, and with it, every student was. There were 7 students for 2 positions, and they had a hard time picking. So it is, and with this week being high school graduations, it's this part of our population, this part of our city is one of our, maybe our best attribute and asset. So thank you for doing that, and students, congratulations. And parents, too.
Anybody else? I just want to thank you all very much. And I'm going to ask maybe just a few of you to say a word or two that describe your experience. Got volunteers? Okay.
Come on, Aubrey.
Yeah, come on down, real quick. Hi, Mike. What did I step into?
Okay. Hi, my name is Aubrey Moore. I serve on the Bayfront Advisory Commission. I'd also like to say that I've spent a lot of meetings at the Flood Board with Isabel Chow. And ultimately, my experience on these boards has been empowering, I would say in one word, but really, I really feel like that I came on to the Bayfront Advisory Commission at a great time because we were restructuring our subcommittees. And so I helped implement a student subcommittee on our board. And I think now that we've had that designation for student voice, it ensures that students are heard at every meeting. And I am really thankful to have the opportunity. And I think I've been able to make a really big impact in my community because of not only what I've learned through talking with city staff, but also just how to be a positive role model for others and how to be involved in my community.
Okay, thank you. Great stuff. And, let me say this, just bringing it home, so to speak. A lot of you know my grandson Bryce, and he was involved with the environmental group. I went up and Sadie, you were spectacular, articulate. And what I saw in my grandson was a passion that, when he was involved with that, if you had to get up early and get to the Brock Center and, things of that nature, it takes commitment. But once again, the commitment. What makes Virginia Beach the great city? The people. And especially the people that devote their time, talent, and treasure. But the fact that you wanted to invest in your community. And I'll tell you what, you are the future leaders that we're going to be passing the baton to. And let me just say, I feel real good about the future. Thank you all very much, and God bless you. Dr. Ross Hammond is running a few minutes behind, but she is en route. Okay, thank you all for coming. We'll see you around. Thanks again.
For the audio. I mean, I don't know if they'll hear us or not.
Okay, we're working on technical issues.
Yeah, at least it'll come across maybe.
Okay,
All right, so Mr. Mayor, members of council, at this time, the next presentation will be on a brief update on disparity study and also about a program that's going on at the Hive, the VB Uplift program. First voice you'll hear will be Lavera Tolentino. She's going to introduce our guests and also go over the highlights of our disparity study program. And then you'll hear from Micah Rivers about the Uplift program.
I like it.
Everybody gets an applause. You get a car,
You get applauded up.
Technology is a blessing and a curse sometimes.
Played that video.
Oh, is it still stuck in that?
I might have. I'm the last person you want to listen to.
That's sharp. Yeah. Escape.
You know, it's always check the connections.
Turn it off, turn it on.
That's right. Check the connections.
Yeah, Shield 24. Good afternoon, Mayor Dyer, Vice Mayor Wilson, members of City Council, Mr. Duhaney, and Mr. Stiles. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the disparity study and one of our outreach programs, which is the Virginia Beach Uplift Program. Regarding this disparity study, I do just kind of want to give you a quick, brief little synopsis of what's going on, where we are with that. As you know, last year in September, we contracted with BBC Research and Consulting they were selected through the RFP process, and they are actually conducting our disparity study. And within that disparity study, there are a few things that they will assess. Of course, they'll look at the city's procurement practices. That includes the recommendations from the 2018 disparity study regarding the ordinances and the resolutions that you adopted and approved. In addition, they'll look at the contract details that we have in our contracts through procurement. They will also assess the vendor demographics here in the city of Virginia Beach, also in some of the surrounding areas in Virginia Beach as well. And then, of course, the market availability. They'll look at the availability of firms that are willing and able to do business with the city of Virginia Beach. They have engaged our stakeholders, which include our business owners, the community, as well as some of the departments, as well as some of the boards and commissions. So they're doing in-depth interviews with those boards and commissions and those stakeholders as well. The disparity study is going to take about 12 to 15 months. It is on schedule and due to be completed in the fall of this year. So to give you a little bit of a brief summary of how we fared in FY24 with the implementation of the recommendations from the 2018 disparity study, we call it our SWAM procurement program. Within that program, we have various different ordinances that allow us to be able to put certain language in there for our small business community. And so when we look at the small business community, we look at it as SWAM, Small Women and Minority Owned Businesses. And so how we fared in FY24 with awards, city contract awards specifically, we did $94.6 million with minority owned businesses. These are just awards now. We did $86.2 million with businesses owned by women, for a total of $180.9 million of minority and woman-owned business awards in FY24, which adds up to about 23.3% of total awards. Also, when we talk about the spend with these particular business categories, minority-owned businesses with contract spend in FY24, $61.5 million. Woman-owned businesses, $59.1 million, for a total of $120.6 million. Equates to about 29.7% of total spend, contract spend. I would like to recognize also our members of our SWAM business office, Aisha Van Dusen Dustin, she's our program manager, and then Nikita Susans over here, she's our SWAM business coordinator. These two ladies have been out hitting the ground, making sure that there's awareness of the program, making sure that individuals know how to do business with the city for those contracting opportunities. And so the next slide here shows you a summation of the resolution that this body adopted a few years ago, which were the aspirational goals for our spend with woman-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses. And as you can see, over the past 3 years, the trend is that we've exceeded that goal. That goal was 12%. That was through the recommendation of the 2018 disparity study. And as you can see, we've exceeded that goal for the past 3 years with minority-owned businesses. And the same is true for woman-owned businesses. We've exceeded that goal that was established from the first disparity study. So with the 15.1% spend and for minority-owned businesses and a 14.6% spend with woman-owned businesses. And so from the various programs and outreach and networking that we do in the SWAM business office, we have done, well, I can say they have done over about 50 workshops, participated in or hosted approximately over 50 workshops where they have talked about doing business with the city, bringing awareness to the programs that we have here in Virginia Beach. And as you know, we get calls from all across the country about our SWAM procurement programs. How do we do it? What does it look like? And we always say that our leadership is the key to the success of the program. And so we thank you all for the opportunity that you have presented to the small business community in affording us to allow us to be able to have these programs in place. We have one particular program that has gained some local media recognition. It's the Virginia Beach Uplift Program. We started it about 2 or 3 years ago. And within that program, I know Mayor Dyer, you've attended the graduation ceremonies as well as council members Rouse and Dr. Ross Hammond as well. And so that program has gained some regional recognition throughout Hampton Roads, and I believe other cities are starting to follow in our footsteps and having their own Uplift program. And so with me today, I have Micah Rivers, who's with AGH Advisory Services. He's the program manager for our Uplift program here in Virginia Beach. And he joins us today to talk a little bit more information, give us some information about this remarkable program. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Micah. Thank you.
Thank you, LaVera.
Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. I see familiar faces. As LaVera mentioned, we've had a couple, Mayor Dyer, Councilwoman Rouse at our graduations. So we're super excited about this program. We've been in the area for 2 years now. And this economic development program really is geared towards middle tier businesses. They're not necessarily for startups, they're not necessarily for the well-established businesses, but for the businesses in between that are looking to find ways to continue their growth, also uncover opportunities that they're not necessarily seeing, or there's certain gaps within their business models that they need addressed through this program. As you guys will see, this program is 8-week accelerator, ultimately, that we do, where we meet once a week for about 3 hours right there at the Hive. And it's really geared towards, again, creating revenue, job creation, as well as long-term sustainability for the middle tier businesses. And we do this through 3 capital investments: knowledge capital, social capital, financial capital. These are areas that we feel every business owner needs, not only to grow their businesses, but also sustain them. Aisha, if you can continue. So what to expect? As I mentioned, for the requirements, we meet once a week for about 3 hours. These are in person. We do not do these virtually. And we're very big on intentionality and participation from each of the businesses that come through the program. We do have an application process, an interview process that we take through each of the applicants through, and we condense that down to 10 businesses per cohort. With that being said, 2 years in operation, as well as 50,000 annually are the requirements. And then again, we kind of customize this depending on who our partners are. But for Virginia Beach specifically, we want to add preference to the Virginia Beach-based businesses, even though this is open to the other municipalities in the area. And then also businesses that can offer a product or service to the city of Virginia Beach, talking about in regards to the procurement aspect. And so as you guys can see, some of the areas of focus, first and foremost is SWAN certification and procurement knowledge. First 2 weeks of the program, we have resource partners that come in and address these topics in particular and help continue to educate the businesses that are in the room on how to get more involved in the procurement opportunities, and again, as well as understanding the importance of their SWAM certification. Some of the other areas that we look at are preparation for possibility of equity or debt financing. Our team at AGH Advisory, we are a private investment firm based in Kansas City. And so that is a very big area for us to help educate these businesses on opportunities to get funding, whether it's equity or debt capital funding. And then again, starting with that fourth point, the B2B collaboration. We've seen a huge success in this from a lot of the businesses in our that are coming through our cohorts that are starting to work together, even on participating on some contracts, whether they're primary or subs. And so we've seen that, and I'll highlight this later in the presentation. But that's one of my favorite things is getting emails or getting calls from the business owners that are saying, you know, I collaborated with this individual that wasn't even in their cohort, right? We have some people from cohort 1 that are participating with individuals from cohort 4. So the B2B collaboration is a really big piece of this program, and we're excited to continue that momentum. You can continue. So for some of the, we did an impact studies, our first impact report, as we've been in the area for 2 years here in Virginia Beach. We conducted this impact report in January of this year. This does not include the most recent graduate class from this spring. But out of the 46 total businesses, about 20 of those were right here in Virginia Beach. So that is almost half of what we've seen come through the cohort for Virginia Beach. And we're really excited about that. But we were able to identify some of the challenges that the business owners articulated coming into the program before completion. Some of those are access to capital, which is obviously a huge topic, networking and partnerships, scaling operations, as well as government contracting. We feel through this program, early on, we've been able to address some of these areas, but we know there's a lot more work to be done. And that's why we're looking forward to continuing this partnership here with the city of Virginia Beach. So with some of the Uplift impact, from this study, we were able to identify several areas going to increase revenue, job creation, as well as creating access. So as you can see with some of the statistics, 67% of the participants reported an increase in revenue after program completion. As far as workforce development, 40% reported hiring additional part-time staff, and full-time employment increased by 25%. And then with creating access, renewals of SWAN certifications, as well as some of the businesses were awarded contracts with the city of Virginia Beach, which is obviously a goal of ours with the initial partnership with the SWAM business office. So here are some of the highlights of some of the local businesses that had some early success through the program, starting off with OmniCrew International, who came to us originally as a nurse staffing company and helped transition into a temporary staffing firm as well to help increase revenue for their particular business model. But they were awarded the workforce labor contract with the City of Virginia Beach Convention Center. They also actually partnered with Options Eatery in helping them execute a VDOT contract this past summer, which at that time was the biggest contract that Options Eatery was awarded. And so they needed temporary staff to be able to execute on that contract. They gave a call to their fellow cohort member at OmniCrew International. They were able to help them out, get 6 temporary staff members, and were able to execute that contract. Most notably, 17th Street Automotive. They were out of our fall cohort of last fall, and they were recognized as the 2025 Hampton Roads Chamber of Virginia Beach Small Business of the Year, which is a great success for them. They also partnered with several of their cohort members in their expansion into the EV market, which is huge. In addition to that, before this presentation was done, as of last week, we were able to help 17th Street Automotive secure a $250,000 SBA loan, which will again contribute to that expansion as they're looking to make way into the EV market, as we know is the future, some would say. And then to kind of close up with Options Eatery as well, they were awarded a Park After Dark contract, but also submitted a bid for as a primary contractor for the Virginia Beach Corrections Facility inmate food services contract as well. So there's a lot of other examples I could give, but I know I'm short on time, so certainly want to continue. So talk about program sustainability. For AGH, this economic development work does not end in Virginia Beach. As Lavera mentioned, other cities are reaching out about the work that this city is doing, most notably Denver. We've had conversations with Washtenaw County, which is Ann Arbor, Michigan, as well as New Haven, Connecticut, which is of late, I guess, the last 2 or 3 weeks, that are very focused on this particular program and some of the success that it's had. As you guys can see with the Economic Uplift Capital Accelerator, that's how we view as phase one. That's a generalized accelerator program, again, is an 8-week program, but we can only accomplish so much within 8 weeks. The biggest thing is how do we stay engaged with these businesses post-cohort and continue to address those 3 pillars that I mentioned, the knowledge, social, and financial capitals. That does not stop with the cohort itself. And so the other 2 phases that we're looking to expand our relationship with the city of Virginia Beach is the Uplift Capital Impact Program / Fund. Our team has experience in managing loan programs. We are in the process of several RFPs across the country in doing so, but we value Virginia Beach and the relationship that we've built here. We've seen the opportunity, the intentionality that this city has when it comes to small business development as well as entrepreneurship. And so we feel with the ecosystem that has been built so far is an opportunity to add that last pillar, which is the financial capital piece, into these businesses. It wouldn't just be just for the Uplift businesses, but also for the other small businesses that are here in Virginia Beach, and giving them the capital, but also the TA component to it as well, to truly help them understand how to maximize this. It's not just about giving them capital, it's about helping them understand how to maximize it and utilize it to grow properly. The third piece, you can keep going. That third piece is the City Entrepreneur docuseries, which Mayor Dyer, you had the opportunity to see the reveal of that in our last graduation. This is a great project that we're super excited about. This was actually started in city of Kansas City, and we've seen this development be really, really beneficial, not just for the entrepreneurial ecosystem that is in Kansas City, but also for the city itself as they try to attract other investors, other larger corporations to the area that have an intentionality behind small business and entrepreneurship. And you can continue. You can go one more as well. So sorry, it's a lot of information on there to digest, but just wanted to make sure you guys see the pictures and kind of the concept of this particular documentary. This is really a 12-episode founder feature, and this really highlights the entrepreneurs that exist within an entrepreneurial ecosystem. And the ultimate goal of this is to uncover and highlight emerging entrepreneurial ecosystems, which is right here in Virginia Beach. This particular foundation, the City Entrepreneur Foundation, which is based in Kansas City, featured our chairman and CEO, who's right there in the middle, Stephen Anthony, who some of you all have had the chance to meet. And so they actually came out to Virginia Beach. They understood the work that he was doing here in Virginia Beach, and they wanted to see what all the momentum was and the talk was. And so they had the opportunity to come out, see the NBC Expo last year, see our Uplift graduation, and actually highlight some of our businesses that have come through our program. And we're really excited about it. And they started the conversations with us on how can we come to Virginia Beach and create a season like we did in Kansas City. And so that led us to kind of think about a potential partnership where AGH is partnered with the City Entrepreneur Foundation and Fired Up Studios on our goal of trying to bring a season here to Virginia Beach to, one, highlight the work that's being done. We know we are not the only ones. We are not the only organization. But overall, highlight the city and a tremendous history. Just seeing the students that were here in the area and hearing some of you all speak about the importance of having those students come back. I think a project like this will really create a lot of momentum for the small business community and entrepreneurs that are existing here, but also, again, for the city's purpose, attract larger investors, larger corporations that also value small business ownership and entrepreneurship and understand the importance of it. And so this really allows Virginia Beach to highlight the work that's being done as a collective, not just Uplift, but also the other organizations and individuals who are contributing to this work. And you can continue. So these are just some social stats. As you guys can see at the bottom, some of the organizations from Kansas City that contributed, but also their social reach. And so this, as the seasons were produced, they obviously were marketing across various platforms, which, as you all can imagine, every organization has a large social following. So when you think about mass communication and the opportunity for Virginia Beach to be kind of seen on a pedestal, this particular project is a great opportunity to do so. We've seen the success in Kansas City. Virginia Beach has the opportunity to do that as well. And as you guys can see, those are actually videos or pictures that were taken last year as they were doing a particular episode on the Uplift program and AGH Advisory. And so it's highlighting our one of the business owners of our first cohort, and see Councilwoman Rouse speaking at the graduation last fall, and then some of the Uplift events that we have. And in closing, I do want to say that with all of this and putting this season together for Virginia Beach, there is a premiere event and also a season finale event. And this brings together probably a huge list of organizations and individuals that are here contributing to the entrepreneurs and small business development scene here in Virginia Beach. And we're really excited about this project, as well as the Impact Fund. And today was really meant for you all to understand what we're working on, but also the next phase and the partnership that we're hoping to create with Virginia Beach. Thank you.
That was outstanding. Any questions? Jennifer?
Thank you. I have a handful of comments and then questions. So first, I know a lot of us go to ribbon cuttings and we celebrate new small businesses across the city. So what's great about the Uplift program and what's happening with the SWAM business office is it takes these newer businesses and it helps them scale up, it helps them grow, and it helps them stay in place. So it's not an opening and then a closing and within a few years, but it's really helping these businesses get rooted and established, which then benefits our economy. They employ folks in our community, so I commend them for that. I might have mentioned this at this table before, but one of my favorite, because it stays with me, examples, one of the businesses at one of your graduations, it was a gentleman who owned a locksmith company, and his issue was once people call with the lock issue and then he helps them, that's it. Like, that's the business. And he's like, you can't really get repeat customers with something like that. So he signed up for this program to think, how can I think about my business model so that I can diversify what services I offer to get repeat clients so that I can scale up. And so he was able to work through that because of this program. So that was fantastic, I thought. So kudos to the Uplift program and to what y'all are doing. The SWAM business office, y'all are doing so much outreach. So the expos, are you still doing the pocket?
No, we have to start that back up.
Yeah, I'm trying to lose there. I probably should have asked you before. But a number of opportunities for outreach, and then with the MBCs, the Minority Business Council, so partnering with the SWAM office. So expos, outreach opportunities. I know we put in our legislative packet a request that the state would take up something similar, and I believe it passed. Mm-hmm. So with the city's Minority Business Council model, the state has now adopted that at the state level to have something similar. So Virginia Beach is leading the way in that kind of thing. So I want to shout out that work and the council for supporting that in the legislative agenda. So my question is, for the public and for us, if we want to direct people to what you all are doing, whether it's the Uplift program or SWAM or NBC, where do people go for information about services or about programs?
So all the information on awareness of the programs and any trainings or workshops we have can be found on the SWAM business website, SWAM business page website, yes. So that's where it's all kept. They can register right there. There are links that they can go right to a registration page.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, anyone else? Barbara?
Well, I was listening very closely through all of it to make certain that we don't run afoul of some of the issues that we see in the nation now, particularly looking for certain words that we used to think were good words, but now they're no longer good words when we think of the DEI issues that we have today. And I think the important thing is that what I heard over and over again was small businesses, rather than maybe some of the other words that maybe we need to just stay away from, to make certain that we don't run afoul, because you do have a great program here. And as long as we are assured that this is a program that is open to everyone, and your particular emphasis is small business, I think we're fine. I certainly wouldn't want a program that has been this successful to run afoul of anything that is just looking for an issue. But I think the important thing is your concentration on small businesses as being, but open to everyone is so important that we make sure that that's our emphasis and that's our issue and our track. Because I think that maybe even calling it a disparity study might not be a good idea anymore. But we might need to just be careful.
And so Councilmember Henley, to your point, it's one of the reasons why the current MBE project goals are not continuing past July 1. Based on some guidance from our disparity study consultant, they recommended that we pause that program, which council previously adopted back in 2018 or 2019, until they come back with their findings and their recommendations, which is expected in October, November timeframe. Right? It's expected, like you said, with some of the current climate right now, that may not be something that comes forward as a recommendation. In addition, the city has made a lot of headway in terms of achieving some of the goals that it previously adopted as well. So it may show that there may not be as much of a disparity as there was once before. But council will get a sense of all the different recommendations from the disparity study consultant in October to make a policy decision. But right now, come July 1, the MBE project goal programs will not continue.
But we've got so much success here. And I think it's fantastic what you have achieved. And I won't even say what you have achieved. And it certainly has done what we needed to do. And that is let everyone know that there are city contracts that anyone can bid on and should bid on. And if anyone needs some help in doing that, that's what we are wanting to have happen. So I think it's certainly achieving the right goal.
Thank you.
Hey, Michael, and then Amelia.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure Mrs. Henley's comments were meant in a positive spirit, and I think that the concerns she raises are valid. But I also don't want to lose sight, and I'm interested in the update that you just shared with us, Mr. Duhaney, and if we could get some more information about that. Because as long as I've sat around this table, and I was one of the many members of our community who participated in the march down Atlantic Avenue to request a disparity study. I served on the Human Rights Commission when we asked for the disparity study, and the community initiated this effort for a very specific reason. It's not exclusively to support small businesses. It's because there was proven to be a disparity in city contracting with minority-owned businesses and also women-owned businesses and other categories as well. We have a robust economic development department, and through that department and other agencies that the city partners with, there's a vast portfolio of resources available for small businesses, and there's nothing that excludes citizens from accessing that resource. But I don't want to lose sight, for language or other reasons, in the historical disparities that exist for minority contractors, for minority business owners, and for women, for veteran-owned businesses. There are disparities that exist, and the reason these programs exist are to specifically address those things. So while language matters and we have to be realistic about the climate in which these programs exist, there are reasons to specifically address the disparities that exist in minority businesses and for minority citizens to access opportunities for entrepreneurism, to build wealth, and to be enterprising. And I think we need to continue those programs specifically to address those disparities.
Amelia and Cash.
Yes, I concur with what Councilman Belushi said about that, because I remember also being on council earlier when a lot of this came up. And you did have minority businesses, but at that time, a lot of the minority-owned businesses were white women, because white women are counted as minorities. So that now opens up to all women. But going on what I wanted to mention on a positive note, I saw in here on this page about one of our, Cynthia, the Black Eyed Peas that I brought in 3 years ago. She wanted to start her own business, and there she is doing very well. She went through the program and has become a board member, right?
Yes, ma'am.
A councilman on there. And then you also have another group who you all helped again, which is the Genuine Care Services.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
has the automated for disabled, and it's amazing. Within 2 years, how they have grown. They're trying to have their second anniversary event at the Cavalier.
Oh, wow.
That just tells you how fast by sitting and listening to what all you do. So I enjoyed being on as council liaison and look forward. You have a retreat coming up.
On Friday, yes, ma'am.
And I'm sure what's mentioned with Councilwoman Henley will also be maybe brought up or addressed at that time too.
Yes,
Thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. We appreciate that report. I would love to see how I can either do a tour with you or just some knowledge of some of the small businesses that you've reached out to. And as you know, I represent District 7. And so every Tuesday I go around and I visit small businesses. I visited one today, and they are well established, and they would fit in that criteria where we want to make sure that their doors stay open. And we can talk offline with me providing you with their contact information. Small businesses are very important to me. They are the backbone of our economy. And so I appreciate your Uplift program. I would like to cultivate around that, water it, and make sure that it's thriving like it needs to be. And so I've seen you around, and so I am excited to sit on this side to be able to give you the support that you need. So thank you for a well-presented presentation, but most importantly, I would love to make sure that we continue to harp on giving access to capital, right? That's most important. With these small businesses that are up and running, the issue that they talk to me about mostly is when foot traffic stops. I have some of small businesses taking money out of their own savings to keep their doors open. And so I would love to continue to have that discussion because you are very needed. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Good. Anybody else? LaVera, I just want to personally thank you and your staff for, you have guided this city for a good time now in the right direction and made us the gold standard where other cities come to us to figure out how to do it right. And, let me just say that, I had the privilege of being, as liaison of the Minority Business Council for 14 years prior to my tenure as mayor. And I'll tell you what, you got to give a group a shout out. There was a seamless continuum of excellence in just leadership and people participating with that. And and once again, we have come a very, very long way. And when I heard the Uplift presentation, I said, this is a secret that we can no longer have. When we really think about it, how far we are as a city, we have to sometimes blow our own horn to let people know what Virginia Beach is about. And it's about businesses and, we do ribbon cuttings, for gourmet cupcake places and everything that gets started. And, popcorn place, not too recently. But it's the small businesses that can. I remember a small company that started a number of years ago, Grown Up. And now they're doing pretty darn well. But the other thing is the ability, it's the level playing field. The level playing field is what we have always wanted to go. But once again, your group also includes veterans, disabled. And when I see the expo, you have a very, very broad representation of people that show up for the expo.
Yes.
So let's just keep on doing what we're doing. And, we'll worry about the outside influences later, but just keep on doing what you're doing. What you're doing is right.
Thank
Okay?
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, so Mr. Mayor, members of council, the next presentation will be given by Kathy Waring. She's going to give City Council an update on the 35th Street Garage project.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Happy to come to you today to talk about a new parking opportunity that we have in the resort area to add some additional public parking that we very much need within the resort. Here are your disclosures. The owner of the property and developer is Suburban Capital. And then just to walk you through the presentation today, we'll talk about what you're actually considering today before we get into the meat of the presentation. We'll talk about the history of the proposal. We'll go over the city parking assets within the resort, our priority parking areas, the current 35th Street lot proposal, the resort area strategic action plan goals, and the resort area mobility plan goals, and then get back at the end for consideration and discussion. So what you're considering today is there's a proposal to build a city-owned and managed public parking garage at 35th Street in partnership with Suburban Capital. The resort parking CIP currently has a balance of $26 million. And the question today is, shall we pursue the development of a parking garage at 35th Street at a not-to-exceed price of $12.35 million? So going back over the history of the proposal, in FY 2020, the Resort Parking District CIP was created for the purpose of developing more public parking in the resort. In 2021, the city approached Suburban Capital about partnering in the development of a parking garage on their 35th Street parcel to provide more public parking in this area of the resort. They were building the Hyatt Place catty-corner to this property, and they were thinking about building a parking deck on this property, and we wanted to see if we could partner with them and add some public parking. Currently, there are no public parking lots or garages north of 31st Street. At that time, the cost to build the garage would have been $25,000 per space, but again, this is back in 2021. The original proposal was for Suburban Capital to own the land and their parking spaces, and then BBDA would own their parking spaces, and this would be under a condo regime. So City Council adopted an ordinance December 14th in 2021 directing $7 million out of the Resort Parking District CIP toward the development of public parking, 200 public spaces for the city at 35th Street, and directed city staff to continue to work with Suburban Capital to develop a term sheet and development agreement. In 2022, the Hyatt Place was then opened. As time progressed, construction pricing continued to escalate well above $30,000 per space, which at that time, that was the agreement we had on the Atlantic Park development. And this project was put on hold. So city staff continued to work with Suburban Capital over the years. We updated the pricing every year. And again, because of construction pricing escalating, the project continued to be on hold. So this is a reminder of our existing parking assets in the resort. The top blue circle is 31st Street. That's the most northern part that the city has public parking in the resort. We have nothing north of 31st Street. There are 358 surface lot spaces, 2,613 public spaces in 5 garages, 644 on-street metered spaces, with a total of 3,615 total public parking spaces south of 31st Street. These are our priority areas within the resort. The blue, you'll see those are our existing public parking assets. The yellow, our future municipal parking. The central yellow area there is Atlantic Park. And then up to the north, there's a yellow circle. That would be this 35th Street parking garage if City Council directs us to move forward. And then the red areas are areas of opportunity. Our goal is to have public parking every 5 blocks. So this is just to go over the project that actually brought us here. Suburban Capital developed a Hyatt Place hotel with 140 rooms. Their parking lot, which I'll show you in a second, is 0.66 acres. and it can accommodate a 7-story garage with 400+ spaces. This hotel did open back in 2022. On the red boundary here is where the hotel opened, and then the yellow boundary is the area that we're talking about today. That's their surface parking lot where they park for their patrons of the hotel. Again, this property is 0.66 acres, zoned OR, and the current assessment is currently $3.5 million. So the proposal has changed over the years, and today these are the current terms that are being proposed. The developer would convey the land to the city as part of their contribution to the project. The parking garage would be 348 spaces. 148 of those would be private, 200 would be public. The city would pay the cost to construct the parking garage at $11.2 million. That's $32,184 a space. Soft costs at 5%, that's $560,000, with a developer fee at 5% of $590,000. Total cost to the city would be not to exceed $12.35 million, or $35,488 a space. This does not include carrying costs for a 9-month time frame of construction. Work could commence in September and be complete by next summer. And then VBDA would own the garage, and the Parking Enterprise Fund would manage the garage, along with their other assets. Something to bring to your attention is you'll see these lovely overhead lines right here. We have been working closely with Suburban Capital, Horgan Construction, and Dominion Power on a solution for the relocation of these lines. They have to be at least 10 feet off of the surface of the garage in order to be safe. So we're working on different options. We're waiting for Dominion Power to get back to us. We do not have a cost estimate at this point, but we will bring that back to you. And again, the Resort Area Strategic Action Plan supports adding more parking, specifically north of 31st Street, since the 31st Street is our last parking garage in the resort. And then the 2013 Kimley Horn Parking Strategy supports the continued disbursement of public parking throughout the resort. So finally, for City Council consideration today, the proposal again is to build a city-owned and managed public parking garage at 35th Street in partnership with Suburban Capital. Resort Parking CIP currently has $26 million sitting in the fund. And then the question is, shall we pursue the development of this garage with a not to exceed $12.35 million? This would be coming out of the Resort Parking CIP. And next steps could be for City Council to modify the 2021 ordinance from not to exceed $7 million to $12.35 million. And I'll take questions.
Questions? Let's go Rosemary first, Worth, and then Stacy.
So, I think you said that it would accommodate 400 spaces.
Yes.
Why wouldn't we go for the full 400 rather than 348?
If City Council decided that they wanted us to pursue that, we could. Currently, the garage is designed for 348 spaces, and it's ready to go. We thought that 200 was a reasonable number of spaces for this area.
Worth, and then Stacy.
Thank you, Mayor Dodd. Thank you, Ms. Warren, for presentation, also for your perseverance on this. You've been working on this, I think it looks like since 2021 through some inflation and other things. And thank you for the parking, because we've been applauding a lot today. We'll have to applaud after this, hopefully after this presentation. But so just one question, page 12 on the carrying cost. Can you clarify, is that built into this, or is that a future cost to be determined that we would pay, or how's that handled?
So with this structure, the developer would develop the garage, incur all of the costs, so they would borrow the money, and then at the end of the day, we would pay them for the garage. We don't know what the interest rate would be at this time for that loan.
So that would be in addition to the
Correct.
12.35.
Correct.
Hey, Stacy?
Thank you. I guess my question's along the same lines on the carry costs. Isn't it possible that we could just do a pay-as-you-go deal and avoid the carry costs?
We have been doing a pay-as-you-go structure in other development projects that we've been working on. And with the staff time and the developer's time and working with our budget staff, it's recommended to go with just pay at the end. Our risk is less if we do that.
It's up to the city council. Historically, the city council preferred to pay at the end. We are going through an experience right now with a pay-as-you-go, and that's not the best path that this council seemed to lean towards, and they've been more inclined to have us pay at the end. But we could go as a pay-as-you-go. That's where city council wants us to move towards.
I just think if you had a clear understanding going in, it would save us that amount of money. The second question I have is on the cost of moving the power lines. I'm assuming that's in addition to the 12.3.
Yes, sir.
And do we have a ballpark figure, any kind of idea? Is it millions or is it?
We do
tens of
not.
thousands?
When we talked to Dominion Power originally, they had talked about going underground with a duct bank, but that was cost prohibitive, we felt, because it was well over 1.2 million. So we went back to the drawing board, looked at how they could be relocated above ground, and then they have another option that they're currently studying.
Hey, Josh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Warren. To Councilman Cummings' point, because this was priced in 21 for 7-ish, right? 7 million?
Yes.
Did that factor in or contemplate in any way the relocation or undergrounding, potentially the utilities?
It did not.
Okay. And I mean, to the extent that 12 or whatever it is now, the 1235, it ought to be, the infrastructure piece ought to be kind of reflected in what we end up paying for the property or putting into the deal. So, I mean, and I think from a resiliency and aesthetics perspective, I think we should, at any opportunity possible, try and rework our underground utilities. But at the same point, we wouldn't have to do that but for what we're doing right now. So I think that needs to be recognized, and to the extent that both parties can be brought to the table to share in the relative cost of that, or at least have the purchase price reflect that would be great. And then my other question was at the garage and the dollar amount per space that I know we've kind of allocated over time. What is that number? Is it 30,000 a space roughly, $35,000?
We've seen it's between 30 to 40.
Okay.
I think this one is based on the most contemporaneous design number.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess my only reason for bringing that up is, I mean, it could be one kind of a garage, like a precast, or it could be you're building stuff on top of it, which makes it, a different kind of conversation altogether. So, and whether or not we ought to be prepared, or at least talking about or comfortable with some sort of escalator over time, so that we know what the comfort level is going, and whether it's precast or whether you've got something built on top of it. But I mean, so that we stop being surprised every time we get a number with a garage, I think there's some expectation built into that would be great.
Okay, Worth?
Thank you, Mayor. I forgot to ask this. So this would be paid public parking, and the proceeds from the sales go to maintaining the public.
Yes, sir, into the Parking Enterprise Fund.
Thank you.
Yeah, Hutch?
So, Director Warren, thank you. What the Vice Mayor had said about the number, and you said 200 was what we had thought. I know with one of the other parking garages, not going to say which one, that I've been to, that we're shared with. The shared part, they don't seem to use anywhere near what they've asked for. And I know we've sort of talked about that now a couple of times since I've been sitting here. I don't want to use a bunch of names, but it's come up. My question is there, can there be, in addition to, kind of taking off what she was saying, is that in addition to what they have, can there be like instead of a red and blue, maybe a yellow that kind of is a shared? I don't know, I may be sounding silly here, but does it make sense what I'm asking?
It does, and we'll use the latest technology and a gateless system. The developer will have the 148 spaces for there, but there will be nothing that's reserved. So for instance, you won't go up onto a floor and it's all reserved for the hotel.
Okay.
And you have to drive by all these empty spaces in order to get to a public space.
Okay.
It'll just be done by numbers.
But for this instance, they feel 148 is the actual number they need.
That's what they believe, yes.
Okay. And that's what we believe, or that's what they believe?
We've looked at it for years and the requirements for
Okay.
the number of hotel rooms, yes.
Okay, thanks. And then one more, kind of off of what Councilman Cummings was asking is, so, and again, I keep stating this, is that it's one of the first times that we've been around the horn for me for a whole year, so things are coming back up. So to his point, is the pay-as-you-go versus the way we're suggesting here. I'd like a little more education on positive and negative, or us versus them, or whatever it's called. Not us versus them. That was the wrong thing to say. But you know what I'm getting.
Yeah. And we'll give it to you. It's just the council's guidance was to do it this way, but we'll give you options on pay as you go. It's just we put ourselves more in a position to absorb fluctuations in prices more so than the other model, right?
Well, because you can't say that you're paying this amount. You know what I mean? It's
Correct.
not like you can say that you're doing $1 million not to exceed, but it could be more.
Yeah, but to Mr. Cummings' point, the carrying costs will probably be maybe more than your 12.35. And then you're going to be coming back again to add additional funds to it. It may be less than that, but you may probably come back for that. With pay as you go, every price adjustment comes to the council for consideration.
5% is
This
12 months.
stuff ain't easy. Anybody else? Amelia?
Yes, I think this is a good idea. We need parking. And what I understood is they are going to develop the
Yes.
entire site, and then we become the owners, given $3 million in the land.
Correct. We will own the land at the end of the day.
Good idea. We really do need parking. Thank you.
I think the fact is that we need parking, and it was brought out, there's nothing north of 31st Street. This is almost an obligation. Once again, if we're gonna look at the whole ocean front, if we're gonna look at the convention center, we're gonna look down toward Rudy Loop and things of that nature. Parking is a major problem for us. This is, a step in the solution. Kathy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
Okay.
Awesome.
Festival weekend, did you know that?
Come back, Saturday.
Missed the parade.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the next presentation is going to be on the Oceanic Dredge Materials Management Area. It's a project that's going to come before city council for adoption at your next voting meeting, or as a planning item. Council asked for staff to give an overview of the purpose and the need for the project, and also address some of the concerns we're hearing from constituents. Presentation will be given by City Engineer Tony Gutterback.
Welcome, Tony.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Duhaney, Mr. Stiles. So I'm going to, why are we here? The city manager just summed it up a little bit, but LJ Hansen gave a presentation on this proposed dredge materials management area in May. So this is a follow-up presentation to address the concerns raised during that briefing. And then a reminder that City Council is set to vote on whether to approve a modification of conditions for the existing conditional use permit on the site to establish a new DMMA at this location, and that's next Tuesday. So I'm going to start today with stormwater management, some of the issues that were raised regarding that. I'm going to follow up with the land use and some alternative dredge material disposal sites, private dredge material disposal sites. And then if we have to go to private, the cost impacts to the neighborhood dredging special service districts, or SSDs. Starting with stormwater management. So I always like to show how the area drains. So from a high-level perspective, the city is made up of 3 watersheds. You have the Chesapeake Bay watershed to the north, the Atlantic Ocean watershed to the east, and the Southern Rivers watershed to the south. 560 Oceana Boulevard is located in the Chesapeake Bay watershed. Zooming down to the drainage basin level, there are 15 drainage basins in the city that all drain to those corresponding watersheds. 560 Oceana Boulevard is located in the Lincoln Bay drainage basin, but you will notice that it is adjacent to the oceanfront drainage basin. Zooming into the property level, this area is unique in that it is the divide between 2 watersheds and 2 drainage basins. At the project site, 560 Oceana Boulevard, there is no stormwater infrastructure on site. So what that means, there are no pipes that go into that lake that transport stormwater either in or out of that lake. So it does not operate as a BMP or stormwater management facility. So as I mentioned, the area is divided between the 2 drainage basins. So to show you the drainage areas, the way the area drains on the corresponding sites, looking at the site to the east, the flow paths follow this direction. They go all the way out to the Chesapeake Bay by way of the Great Neck Creek and Lincoln Bay. And then the property just to the south of 560 Oceana Boulevard, those properties all drain to the ocean front by way of Creedle Road, Bells Road, out into Owls Creek, into Lake Rudy, into the Atlantic Ocean. So this is a contour map showing you the surface elevations on the site. So from the contours, you can see the elevations are higher on the west side than they are on the east side. So the site drains from west to east. Where you see a concentration of contour lines, the white concentrated areas, that's where there's a berm. So you can see a berm along Oceana Boulevard. You can also see a berm around the majority of the lake. The elevation of the lake is influenced by groundwater and rainfall. So on average, the normal pool elevation is 13.9 feet, but that can fluctuate depending on whether it's a dry season or a wet season. So as part, we had a stormwater study done to evaluate this property, and we had modeling run to determine whether the lake could handle a 100-year storm event with a 100-year 24-hour storm event. And that's 11.3 inches of rain. So in the existing condition, the model showed that some water did leak out of this lake in the southeast corner. So before any dredge material is disposed of here, we are going to build a 2-foot berm around the eastern section of the lake. It's important to note that modeling did not show any water leaving the site during the 10-year storm. So this map comes from our recurrent flooding indicator map, which is available on our flood protection program page. It shows the modeled flooding that can occur during a 10-year storm, which equals 6.8 inches of rain in 24 hours. You can see that there is flooding on the adjacent property, but again, I want to point out that the 10-year storm was contained on 560 Oceana Boulevard. So this flooding is not caused by the lake overflowing. Some potential things that could be causing it are undersized drainage pipes. There are some drainage structures that go into those stormwater BMPs. The BMPs could be overflowing. It could be a combination of both. But I wanted to show you some aerial photos of the area. This is an aerial photograph looking north. You can see the project site to the left there, and you can see the adjacent property there. And then zooming in, there's a paved roadway where there's parking. It essentially acts as a berm. You can notice that it's very flat in that area. And also you can see the riprap that's around the banks of the stormwater management facility. That could indicate that that BMP is overflowing. And then some more aerial photographs looking northwest, and then zooming in. Again, the same, seeing the riprap, and then the pavement is actually cracked on that side of the property. So as I mentioned, we are going to construct a 2-foot berm around the eastern end of the lake to provide extra storage for the 100-year 24-hour storm event. The stormwater study that we had done confirmed that the 100-year 24-hour storm will be contained within the lake by providing this extra storage with the 2-foot berm. It will actually provide over 800,000 cubic feet of storage. That amount of storage is enough to accommodate storage for the storm, as well as the space needed for any water displacement that occurs when we start filling the lake with the dredged material. In addition, although there's enough storage as indicated in the stormwater study, we are going to continue to look at whether we need to provide some type of outfall or emergency spillway just for added safety factor. Also, this DMMA won't increase stormwater runoff since we're actually reducing the site's impervious by filling in the lake. So the lake right now is a pervious area, so when it rains, the water fills up in the lake. But when you add material to it, that material becomes pervious, so rainfall can actually penetrate into the ground. So to summarize the stormwater concerns, the proposed DMMA does not function as a stormwater management pond. There are no pipes that convey stormwater to or from the site. It will not cause flooding. By constructing that berm, we are increasing the stormwater storage capacity on the site, and it will not increase stormwater runoff because by filling the lake with dredged material, it will become pervious, allowing rainwater to be absorbed into the ground. So it will have less stormwater runoff than the pre-existing condition. Now moving on to land use, there were some concerns raised about the lack of awareness regarding the city's intention to use the property as a dredged material management area. This is a copy of the ordinance that City Council approved on January 19th, 2016, and highlighted there in yellow. The ordinance specified that the area would provide, the acquisition was to provide an area for the deposit of dredged spoils. Next, we were asked to look at some alternative dredged material disposal sites. There are no other city-owned DMMA sites available to receive the non-beach quality dredged material. I'm going to reiterate that. We did identify 3 potential sites. They are shown here. They are privately owned. They are over 20 miles away from the, most of our dredging projects. And I want to point out that we did not study these sites. We did not determine their capacity or whether they can even accept dredged material. And then if we have to utilize a private disposal area, there will be cost impacts to the neighborhood dredging SSDs. The tax rate for the 6 neighborhood SSDs will increase. It's shown here in this table. This new rate is assuming the $140 per cubic yard that LJ presented in the previous briefing. You can see the current rate there, the new rate, and the change. Now, some things that were factored into these numbers is the SSD volumes are all different, so that's why the rates are different. And also that some of these have 1 cycle left and some of them have 2. So those are some factors that were considered into these numbers. And I will take any questions.
Any questions? Okay, let's go with Stacy and Worth.
Thank you. Can you go back to slide 14? And full disclosure, I went out and met with the one of the affected property owners to the east storage lot on Bird Neck Road.
Yep.
So I met with him today and walked the property and walked around the lake. So one of the things I brought up, and I don't understand this, I'm not an engineer, but they're saying when this, before it became a borough pit, that this was a field. And that while it was a field, there was never any flooding that occurred in the area. So the water, even during the heaviest storms, the water would just absorb into the ground. So now it's, the borough pit, and now it's water in there. And so what I don't understand is how adding dredge material into this, putting it back, would increase the preponderance for this area to flood. Doesn't make, I don't know, that just doesn't register with me.
Okay, so the lake right now acts as a non-pervious area. So essentially, any rainfall that hits it, it's like hitting a paved surface. It does not run off.
That's what makes sense to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so adding dredge material, now although there will be some displacement once that material is deposited into the lake, that material is porous. There are voids in that material. So it becomes part of the lake, that water gets absorbed in the lakes, and that becomes a pervious area that rainfall can penetrate into.
So it would seem to me, given that argument, that if I'm understanding it right, that adding the dredge material into this would actually benefit the surrounding areas when it came to flooding.
Correct, it's going to improve the runoff.
That's what it would seem to me, and I kept asking that question. I didn't get a satisfactory answer, because I guess there isn't one, given what you're saying.
Tony's point is correct, and your intuition is also correct. When the water sits there in its current capacity, and without getting into a lot of technical thinking in terms of the weight of the water and how the water pushes down, and then it pushes out into the surrounding soils, right? That creates what we would call a zone of influence. If we backfill this with a soil material, it allows it to dry up and takes that pore pressure out of that. So your point is correct. We believe that filling this in will actually improve the drainage conditions for the adjacent property. But even to that end, what we talked about was looking at that property, how that property drains, and trying to identify if there's a better outfall solution for them, if there's something that we could do to improve it for them. We're certainly willing to look into that.
And then the other concern was because a few of the residences, I think there's 3 residents, are still on well water. And I know you've assured us that all of the soil that goes in there will be tested, will be cleaned, there will be no effect on the groundwater. And I think we're going to actually put monitoring wells in to ensure that.
We have monitoring wells that are in place today that are getting background. But again, if you recall from my May presentation, the depth of this lake is about 40 to 50 feet. There's an impervious layer, a clay layer, that is much lower than that, and then where they're taking their drinking water from is even lower than that. So we believe that there are multiple redundancies to protecting their groundwater.
And we have a plan just in case we're wrong.
Yes, sir. If in the extremely unlikely event that we miss on every one of our understandings, the city would be responsible for coming in and establishing a drinking water source for those neighbors if we were to damage it. I
Thank you
believe
very
the city
much.
attorney could explain that maybe a little bit better than I could.
Thank you.
Rosemary.
Thank you so much for this in-depth presentation. It was very helpful. There's also been some concerns about how the wildlife is going to be affected. Can you address that, please?
I haven't heard about the wildlife concerns.
That's a new one on us, ma'am. I mean, I will tell you this is zoned industrial. It is not, we have not evaluated it from a wildlife perspective standpoint. That is not something that we've identified. It's directly adjacent, of course, to the Navy base, and it's zoned industrial. We didn't look at it from that standpoint.
Okay, anyone else?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Hanson, Ms. Utterback, for the presentation. And I did go out on site, like Councilman Cummings, and I believe the Vice Mayor did, to the east, the self-storage units there. That's a big complex. He has concerns. I'll come back to that. And then the property owner to the south. And so I did walk around the lake Saturday, a week ago, and there are boxes for geese and wildlife and birds there as installed by folks. I don't know if that's where that all stands, but it probably will have an impact. There's no question. But just a couple of things, because this is coming up next Tuesday, colleagues, so we have to vote on it, and I think we should probably hold it for next Tuesday. So I'm very concerned about it because it is in my district, and the two owners' concerns, you've addressed their concerns, and so I just want to reiterate, especially with this slide, that it says here, that's pretty much a representation, right, Mr. Manager, that it does not function as a storm. That folks have the perception, and rightly so, it's a lake, that it is a stormwater management pond, but it's not, because there's no pipes into it. It does drain from the west to the east, but it certainly can't drain from the east to the west. That it will not cause flooding, and there's recourses if it does, and the berm should help. Well, you're saying should help, will help that concern, and then it will not increase stormwater runoff. So those are the primary concerns of both landowners to the east and to the south. Loss of wildlife is a concern, and then the groundwater contamination, as Councilman Cummings just said. So all those you've addressed those, and this is I think a decision we have to make as a council. Does this work or not? And then the alternatives are the cost. But these are strong statements, in my opinion, that we're making here that would cause us to move forward if they're true, which I'm not saying they're not. So just one last thing. So back on the use from burrow pit or sand pit to landfill, but it did change from the original intent as a dredge spoils site to a sand pit, burrow pit. Didn't that? And then now it's going to go to its original intent. What was the original intent?
It was originally, the CUP was originally issued as a borrow pit.
But
because we now wish to put material back into the pit, it requires the amendment to the CUP. That's what we're pursuing.
But LJ, it was bought with the intent for it to be the dredge spoils.
The city purchased it from the owner of the property, who at that time owned it with the existing CUP in place as a borrow pit. That's correct. But when the city, as you saw in the ordinance, when the city purchased it, the intent was to do exactly as we're doing today, to go through the design process, to evaluate the environmental concerns, and then to move forward as a dredge spoils material.
He has concern about the change, but take that into account.
Stacy? Oh, I'm sorry, Barbara and Stacy.
Well, I was just going to comment on the fact that it appears to me that it was made plain when we purchased the property that the intent was going to be to provide for the deposit of dredge spoils, and it would be refilled. So the intent at the time of the purchase was to fill it with the dredge materials, and that would change what was originally there to some extent. But, so it's not news, but I just look at the options and how far any of these, not only the cost, but just how far any of the options are from wherever they would occur and what would be on the roads in dump trucks and so forth, whichever option we would use. And so I think from the very beginning, it was the intent. I mean, I've always thought that this was where it eventually would be. So it really wasn't news to me that this was what we were concerning. But it would not be good, for example, for any more dredge materials, because we're already getting the one from Windsor Woods, all the way down to North Carolina, all the way down Princess Anne Road to Knox Island, the dump trucks to go to the pit down there. Because when we did that project, we had not thought that there was going to have to be a place for all of that stuff to be put, and we weren't really prepared. And so that area is already being heavily impacted by material that is coming by dump truck all the way through that area. And I certainly don't want to see everything else go there too. So this, I think, was the intent from the very beginning that we purchased it, and I think that's what we need to stick with.
Okay, Stacy and Hutch.
Could you go back to 14 again? Where would the entranceway for the vehicles be?
Let me go to the plan view. Am I allowed to leave that? Okay, so this is Oceana Boulevard. So right now,
Okay.
this is where the existing egress is, and then we'll keep it there. And then we'll build these roads and ramps to do the deposits.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Hutch.
So, Ms. Utterback, you are, for the public, you are the city engineer, correct?
Yes.
It's a heck of a title. But it means a lot. And then the director, right? So y'all have done a full study. You've checked off every box that we've asked, it sounds like to me. My question almost is are we doing overkill of all this to make the vocal minority feel better? You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that y'all are comfortable that we're not spending too much money, doing too much. It feels like to me, as like in y'all's professional opinion, are we doing what is right here, building these berms and safeties and everything else, 100-year storm? And it's like, okay, now where are we going to flood that's going to be that problematic?
So our stormwater design standards do require us to look at a 100-year storm event.
Yep.
So we're doing that. Now, this isn't a BMP, that's what's required for a BMP, but we wanted to run that storm event just to satisfy ourselves and the public that it could contain the water from that rain event. The stormwater study that was done actually did look at a higher berm, and it provided much more storage for the site, which wasn't required. So we did reduce, and it also had some cost impacts on how we would build a berm that high. So that's why the berm is set at the elevation that it is.
And I'm all about doing it, but I'm just saying is that we kind of need to be clear here. I'm sure we are going over and above is what you've just stated of what we actually need to do, which is good. I'm not opposed to it. But then when we look at the cost of going to other places, that quite frankly is outrageous, right? To try to go to these other sites, that just wouldn't be fiscally responsible in my mind. So that's why, just like we just had from the parking garage, it's a no-brainer to me. That's how this feels as well. The presentation and everything, I trust you what you're saying. We're here to help clear the hurdles for you and stand in the gap, and that's what I feel like y'all have just shown why we should do that. Thanks.
Hey, Josh.
Thank you very much, both of you, for the great work you do. And I'll just jump in here just to say that even though it looked and felt different, I had a similar one recently, right? And so and it was dealt with, and it dealt with property that we purchased a long time ago with stated intentions. And you know, time goes and needs change, and we may or may not have funds available, but all of a sudden, you know, flooding is our number one priority and our existential threat in this community. And if we were going to go to try and replicate this property and buy it on today's market, or if we were going to go buy the other, or try and buy the other piece of property that I'm not even going to talk about right now, you know, I just, you know, you can't do that in today's dollars. And so when you've got the plan in place and you've got people looking at it a long time ago, and we've got this for a purpose, I think we need to stick, like the councilwoman said, with what our intention was for this property. And now that we've got the dollars and the public support and the direction that we've you know been given to make sure that our community doesn't flood and we safeguard lives and property, we got to put our heads down and go and do it.
Hey, Rosemary.
So we know that the planning commission voted unanimously against this, but did they have the opportunity to see this presentation and the last presentation that we saw, because, you know, they may not have had the same information that we're getting.
Yes, ma'am. I have talked to at least 2 members of the Planning Commission, and they both expressed after the May presentation that they felt like there was value added from the May presentation, and I would hope that they find value added from today's presentation. One comment that was expressed is that the Planning Commission takes a vote up or down. They don't really give rationale in following their vote. I mean, they express what they express from the podium, but their vote is yes or no. It's approve or deny. And so I would like to think that if the Planning Commission saw it in light of the information that we gave them, it would be a different response.
I'm kind of thinking, I mean, you've really explained it much more in depth than what they saw. So that might be a big reason why they didn't have all this information, that they voted the way they did.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Stacy.
Just a thought. Is there a market for non-potable water? We got a gazillion billion gallons.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. In all honesty, I mean, I think that would be a harder thing to try to arrange, just for somebody to get in here, get the water while we're trying to put material in. I'm not saying it's impossible. But I don't think that I want to go down that avenue.
And the way
Unless you
park is
tell me
not
I
a
have.
consideration.
I was just thinking. Where's the water gonna go?
All right, hey, I think, we think we got a predetermined outcome. Okay, thank you. All right, council comments, anybody? Okay, Josh and Jennifer. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Cash and Jennifer.
Oh, so
Your name is Cash.
And you live in District 7.
Yes, thank you. I live in District 7. So I had the opportunity to go by some small businesses, and we are so excited that we have Mr. Woody's Gourmet Popcorn, which I'm grateful for. One of the things about what we're doing at District 7 is we're really showing the youth that we have food that is up their alleys. So this is one of those. And so please, there were treats that were dropped off to you guys. And so please come through District 7, Mr. Woody's Gourmet Popcorn. There's 41 flavors. But with that being said, there's a lot of other businesses, but I just wanted to tell you that.
That was Auburn Avenue and
Auburn.
Military Park, yeah.
Military Highway. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. Okay, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mayor. So one is a liaison report and then comment. So ATAC, Active Transportation Advisory Commission, Bike Month just wrapped up. So there were 1,000 participants at a bike walk roll to school event at 6 locations across the city. So I think that we saw our student participants here, and then we've got this participation with our younger kids and our students riding their bikes to school. So I think this partnership with schools and our commissions in the city is like really incredible work that we're doing. So I'm really happy to be a part of that and how much you all support that. So I just want to add more to the incredible work of our students across the city and our faculty for supporting it, VBPD, Parks and Rec, and Active Transportation for organizing all of this. Mayor, you made some remarks at the 3 Oaks Path ribbon cutting in Red Mill. So that's the most recent addition to the city's network of trails on our safe schools routes. And then both Councilmember Green and I have some exciting things coming up this weekend. So thanks to you all for your support for Parks After Dark in District 10. So in District 10, it kicks off on Saturday, June 14th at Rosemont Elementary. So really excited to go that. It's free for the public, family friendly. And I know in District 7 it's also kicking off, I think, College Park.
College Park Elementary.
Yeah, so make sure the city, you've got all sorts of options to do something this week, and hopefully the weather is nice.
Yes.
Okay, Rosemary, did you have something?
Yes, I did, real quick. Thank Mr. Woody for the popcorn. We're going to enjoy this.
Yeah, we work for food.
Just wanted to say I've got a town hall meeting tomorrow night at the Aquarium South Building from 6 to 8. And I'm very excited about it. We're going to have Clay Deals there, who's going to present the Rudy Park, and our magnificent police chief, fire chief, and from EMS. And then also we're doing it with a partnership with the CAC. This is not, they want to come because I know you often meet those, go to those meetings, and they're going to present the 17th Street Road Project.
Okay, Amelia and Josh, and then Barbara. And work.
We already started our Park After Dark, and it's going well out at Williams Farm in District 4. And Virginia Symphony Orchestra will perform on this Saturday from 4 to 6 on site at the Virginia African American Culture Center land. So excited about that. And most exciting is the first complete graduation of our Achievable Dream groups. I remember from when they started as little people over at CTAC and going and getting that going. And sort of send the invitation to let me know my little people are graduating. Time has flown so fast. It's going to be tomorrow at the Virginia Beach Convention Center. That's how much this has grown. So congratulations to that first graduating class.
Josh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I mentioned to you, and I sent an email to everybody late last night, late last week, I learned that the White House took executive action earlier this year to revoke the offshore drilling ban. And I also learned that the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management was taking public comment on this subject, and the public comment period is nearing expiration. So I asked our Legislative Affairs Director to look into the issue. It was in fact validated, and I apologize, this is coming at you quickly, but the public comment period expires on the 16th of June. So given the resolutions that were previously adopted by this council in 2017 and 2018, together with the letter of support that was recently sent to BOEM from the Virginia Beach Hotel Association, the Restaurant Association, and Atlantic Avenue Association, I was hoping that you would join me in requesting the mayor and the manager to submit on the city's behalf, on the council's behalf, our continued, stance in opposition to offshore drilling off our coast.
Okay, thank you. Barbara?
Well, I'm liaison to the ITA Transition Area Committee. And as I mentioned, when Sadie was talking, it's been a lot goes on with that committee because the Transition Area ITA is such a very active part of whatever's going on in the city. Of course, that's just one small part of District 2, but it's a very important part. And they have been very closely following the comprehensive plan and the various drafts. And unfortunately, the time for us to deal with the comprehensive plan keeps getting moved back. I think last year at this time, we were telling people we would be ready to have it adopted by this time, and now I think it's pushed back. And the unfortunate thing is that there are issues that are being decided in the meantime that is going to greatly impact the area and whatever might be able to be in the comprehensive plan when we do get to adopt it. For example, back in April, we learned that the Development Authority was talking about contracting with an engineering firm to create a master plan for expanding the Innovation Park. And as a result of that, I asked the Economic Development Director, Mr. Green, to come to my April forum and tell the folks what they were thinking about doing and so forth, and he did. And it was a very well-attended forum, and what Mr. Green said over and over again to the people was, we want to know what you want, and you need to tell us what you want. And of course, the people had a lot of questions about what they might be planning on doing. I think at that time there were some potential expansion options that were passed around and so forth. And this was about all we knew at that time. But emphatically, over and over, it was again to those people in the neighborhoods that would be affected, tell us what you want. And so throughout this time, I've not heard more because I thought that was going to be the process. Until I got in my packet the same thing you got in your packet last Friday, which is this a presentation that the VBDA is going to be making this Friday to present a proposed master plan for expansion of the Innovation Park. And with what we have been given to look at, which is, I mean, no one in all this time has contacted me about what I think, nor has anyone contacted, as far as I know, any of these other neighborhoods that are going to be impacted to find out what those people want. We now have this proposal that would do all 600 acres of what is available in, I guess, a major industrial park that would come all the way to North Landing Road. And this greatly alarms me because it's certainly not what we have been talking about for that area. And as a district representative, and I think any of you who had something this major come forward in your district would be feeling the same as I do, feel like I've been left out, as well as all the citizens in this district to know what they want. When I look at this and what is being proposed, remember Project Wayne and how everybody got all upset about a Project Wayne in this area? Well, this is Project Wayne and his whole family. The whole area would be at a major industrial park. I have been following this since all of this and asking the city manager for information for now months. But if you remember, what is now the Innovation Park started out as the Biomedical Park. And it was to be a research, very low-level research park that would complement the medical and the research component in this area. And it was on that basis that this 150 or so acres was deeded to the Development Authority to become this research park. Well, we know that after a few years of visits to Europe and everywhere else, that the biomedical was not doing what we thought. And so we were asked if they could start looking for some other types of businesses to go, but in the same context of what we had originally planned. And so we said, okay, we understand that. Well, what is going on out there doesn't look at all like this. And it's when the first, and I think there've been two major businesses that have gone out there, that when that first one went in place, you can bet I heard from all these neighbors who said, well, this isn't what you told us it was going to be. And I said, I know, and I don't expect that to be, but this seems to be where it's going. And I'm greatly concerned. And so are the people out there, because this is not what we intended. And I think it's important for us as sitting council members to know when you vote on something and you think it's going to be one thing, that's what you think it's going to be. And in a few years, when it comes along that it's turned around to something entirely different, you are going to feel the same way I feel right now. I never would have supported this originally if I had had any idea that something like what we got in our packet Friday was going to be considered. This would extend, like I say, not only to this area, but all of this, all the way down to North Landing Road would be an industrial park. And that's not in our plan, has never been. And I've been asking, and I'll ask the city manager to get this information together for all of you too, because I don't know why we think we need this much industrial area. We've still got a lot of industrial property available in Corporate Landing. Corporate Landing is nowhere near built out. And I think there's a lot of other property around Oceana that we have indicated would be development, industrial property. And to do something this major to a community when none of these neighborhoods that are impacted have been at all consulted or had any input whatsoever, I'm just very upset about. So there's been no discussion with people of the area, no contact to the district representative, and I just don't think this is the way we do business, certainly not the way we do planning. And I'm very upset about this. I'm going to be in touch with my people. I'm very conscious of the fact that I am responsible to the people in District 2, and I take that responsibility very seriously, and I'm going to be letting them know what I've received and what is being proposed, and I'm going to give them all a chance to have some input. Because in my opinion, when we do something this major, consulting with the affected citizens is not the last step, it's the first step. And that's been completely overlooked, even though in April, when we did have that opportunity at the forum, what the people were told was, we want to know what you want. And they have not been given that opportunity. So yes, I'm upset, and I have to stop talking now because I'll probably say things I wish I hadn't. So it's my district, and I'm going to be serving my people.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, yeah, Patrick, Worth and then Pat.
Go ahead, you want to respond?
No, Mr. Mayor, I just want to get clarity on Mr. Schulman's request. Based on the fact that council approved those two previous resolutions around offshore, banning offshore drilling for oil, is council okay with staff sends a similar letter to the Bureau of Ocean Management to put the city's position on record?
Anybody object?
Okay. And it's my understanding I'll send it on behalf of the city.
Okay. Good work.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. Just a quick announcement. Pleased to announce I'll have a new legislative assistant aide, Sarah Catherine Kibler, who's with us in the audience. Please welcome her. She started a couple weeks ago. She's wonderful. She spent. She has worked in 2 sessions in the General Assembly. She's a neighbor and very, very good at what she does. She's been with me for almost a month. So welcome her and hope she can introduce herself to you all and your aides. Thank you.
Okay, and just, a final kudo to the youth that are involved in this city. Last night, Parks and Rec, I go to a lot of events with Park and Rec opening a lot of stuff up, and it's really kind of cool. Jennifer alluded to Three Oaks before. But for last night, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the mayor's youth leadership, action. And it's a group of folks that got together and has been doing a tremendous amount long before my tenure as mayor. But once again, I really think how it defines us as a community and recognition that youth are part of our future. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, at this point, anybody else? Okay. At this point, the chair will entertain a motion to recess into a closed session pursuant to the exceptions of the open meeting allowed by section 2.2, 3711A Code of Virginia, as amended for the following proposals. Legal matters, consultation and legal counsel retained by the public body regarding specific legal matters requiring provisions of legal advice by such pursuant to section 2.2, 3711A8, and that is Atlantic Park. Legal matters consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation, while some consultation or briefing in an open session would adversely affect negotiation or litigating, public posture to the body pursuant to section 2.2, 3711A7, Atlantic Park. publicly held property, discussions or considerations of the acquisition of real property for the purpose of or disposition of publicly held property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body of section 2.2, 3711A3, and that's District 6, District 5, District 2. And finally, personnel matters, discussions, considerations, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, resignation of the public officers, appointees, or employees of the public body pursuant to section 2.2, 3711A1, and that's council appointments, boards, commissions, committees, authorities, agencies, and appointees.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. We call for a vote?
Councilmember Belushi?
Aye.
Councilmember Cummings? Councilmember Henley?
Aye.
Councilmember Hutchinson?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson Green?
Aye.
Councilmember Remick?
Aye.
Councilmember
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse?
Aye.
Councilmember Bowman?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wilson? Mayor Dyer?
Aye.
Zero.
Okay, do we need a little break before, or you want to go right in? Order and ask for a motion to certify the closed session.
So moved. Second.
Okay.
Councilmember Belushi?
Aye.
Councilmember Cummings?
Aye.
Councilmember Henley? Councilmember Hutchinson?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson Green?
Aye.
Councilmember Remick?
Aye.
Councilmember Roxanne?
Aye.
Councilmember Rouse?
Aye.
Councilmember Bowman?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wilson? Mayor Dyer?
Aye.
By a vote of 11, 0, certified closed session.
Thank you all very much. We are adjourned.